It seems like West Asia is the place to be in right now. Last week, American President Joe Biden dropped in. This week, the Russian President Vladimir Putin is in Iran. This is his second trip abroad since the Ukraine war. His first meeting was that with the Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi. Also on the agenda is a trilateral with the leaders of Turkey and Iran. It is called the Astana Format Talks, aimed at resolving differences in Syria. And at last, a bilateral with the Turkish president.
We reinforce our interaction in the field of international security. We also significantly contribute to the settlement of the Syrian crisis.
Putin's trip comes days after Biden's visit to West Asia. So let's first begin with the issues that are in focus. First, the situation in Syria. The Tehran summit comes as the three countries are divided on Syria. Russia and Iran on one side backing the Assad regime, Turkey on the other backing the rebels. In focus is Turkey's special operation in Syria. In June, Turkey announced a military operation in Syria to target what it called were Kurdish terror groups. It wants to establish a security zone along the border, one that both Moscow and Tehran are against. But the Syrian war is not the only one that will be discussed. The war in Ukraine is also set to be in focus. Erdogan has played a balancing act during the war. Turkey has voiced support for Ukraine while rejecting Western sanctions on Russia. Ankara even tried to mediate between Moscow and Kiev. But it also sold Bayraktar combat drones to Ukraine, drones that are now being used in the war against Russia. The other issue that will be discussed is the safe export of grain from Ukraine. As for Iran, it has refused to condemn Russia for the invasion. Tehran says NATO's expansion was the root cause of the conflict, which brings us to the next question. Since Iran is on Russia's side, is it planning to sell drones to Moscow? Washington has claimed Tehran wants to sell hundreds of armed drones to Russia. Reports suggest a Russian delegation visited an airbase in central Iran, not once but twice. Moscow sees Tehran as a key partner and potential source of arms. Both countries are diplomatically isolated, they are heavily sanctioned by the West, and they share a common adversary in Washington. However, Iran denies any such claims of selling drones to Russia. It says it will not militarily assist in a conflict that it wants to end. And this brings us to the relation between Moscow and Tehran. The Iran-Russia relationship is not free of friction. Their former empires were centuries-old rivals. Russia's occupation of Iran during World War II has bred decades of distrust. They may look like close friends at the moment, but old differences are playing out in new ways, like in the oil market. Both of them are fighting it out here. Moscow is undercutting Iran in the black market oil trade. Sanctioned Russian oil is eating into Tehran's share of the crucial Chinese market. And this is forcing the West Asian nation to slash prices. But with growing isolation, their bond seems sure to grow. So Turkey, Iran and Russia, these are not best friends. Turkey and Russia have been on opposite sides in several conflicts. As for Iran, the two are competing in the global energy markets. So while the three have a few things in common, it is not long-lasting. It is just foreign policy based on who benefits them the most at that moment. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.